All right, so welcome to the Creatives Lounge. I am Sharisa T, visionary of I Teach, I Coach LLC. You are a part of the Creatives Lounge. I am here today, and we have a special guest who is going to share a little bit about her story and what she does. And tonight's session, we're talking about ghostwriting. Do you need one? For all my authors out there, welcome. Those of you who are coming in, make sure that you tag, like, share. Also, too, make sure that once you're coming in the room, make sure that you are pinging, and just hit that in the chat replay. So we are excited that you all have decided to come on, and I am going to let my super bad girl, my super bad queen, come on and share with us on this evening who she is and what she does. And then we're going to dive into this conversation. Let's meet our host on tonight, our co-host, Ebony, Miss Ebony. So come on off and tell the people about who you are and what you do.
Okay, everybody. My name is Ebony Vassar. I am actually an evangelist. Sharissa, no, we don't like using titles, but I like in certain platforms to be able to use that title because I want to be a method of trust with the listeners. So that's the only reason I'm mentioning that on tonight. And also, I wanted you to know that everything we do is backed by prayer. So that's why I wanted to mention being an evangelist. I'm also an author, a published author at that. I currently have two books out there, Cricket Trees. I also have my Cricket Trees study guide. We'll be doing a small group January 15th, which Sharisa will be the facilitator of that group. So if you guys want to know a little bit more about my writing, and that'll be important just in case you want to choose me as a ghostwriter. You'll get to see what kind of material I have out there. So it's Cricket Trees by Ebony Vassar. It's found on Amazon. So you can buy it there. We'll have that small group. I would love for you to attend. It's a free group. And then you could get a little bit of knowledge about my writing style. I'm also a ghostwriter and very heavy into volunteering. So I have a nonprofit organization, Abba's Heart. And what we do is we target kids who have a parent that may be addicted to drugs. So we try to mentor them. We try to help with different kind of resources. That's a big passion of mine. So that's pretty much who I am and what I do.
Yes, so welcome, and we are so excited to have her on this evening. Thank y'all so much. I see you guys are coming in. So as you guys are coming in, I'm just going to ask you if you know any authors or anyone who's thinking about writing, get them in the room because tonight we have a ghostwriter who is going to talk about her services, what she does, and how she can assist you on your journey into becoming a self-published author or an author. So let's dig right into it. So again, thank y'all so much for joining. Ghostwriter, do you need one? So Ebony, before we talk about your ghostwriting services, let's go deep into your author journey. So tell us more about your book.
Okay, so my book, Cricket Trees, we'll first start with the title. Why is the title Cricket Trees? Whenever you go to a family reunion or anything, you always see the family reunion t-shirts and they always have the family tree spread out on the t-shirts, right? So the reason my book is called Cricket Trees, because my book is about dysfunctional families. Cricket Trees is going to be a series. So the book that's out now, along with the study guide, that's pretty much the foundational book. And it's called Cricket Trees Building on a Fragile Foundation. This book is a read for anyone who might be trying to overcome dysfunction. A lot of us are born into dysfunction. When we are born into dysfunction, we don't have a choice as a child. But when you are an adult, you have a choice not to be in dysfunction. So this book pretty much gives various examples of what I have encountered in my family. And like I said, because it's the introductory book, you don't have all the meat, but you have enough examples to be able to identify like different personality traits. When my mom read the book, she said one of the traits that she could identify with was the emotionally distant effect, meaning she doesn't get involved too much emotionally when it comes to people. And if you don't know, that's a security mechanism. So that's going to be the very first book you have. And right now, I am writing Cricket Trees Escaping to Acceptance. Because when God showed me this writing journey, He showed me like the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, where everybody gave the same story from a different perspective. The reason God gave me Cricket Trees as a series, because now every member of my family gets to tell the story their way. No one can say I slandered them. No one can say I did wrong by them. Everybody gets to tell the story their way. And then all the stories can come together and you guys can see how we got in dysfunction. So escaping to acceptance, that's going to be my mom's story. And boy, what a story. Sharice's been helping me with this. And when I tell you I learned more about my mom than I ever knew, okay? It was some new meat in this book. So imagine writing something and you're 46 years old, your mom is 68, and you're getting to know your mother for the very first time, okay? So then I have Cricket Trees Generational Curses. That's what the title my dad chose. And he's going to talk about some things that happened in his life. And boy, Sharissa, I'll tell you guys again, I'm 46 and I'm just not knowing my parents for the first time. So I would tell you stories of child abuse, molestation, just different things that happen in the family. So anytime you want to know why you're dysfunctional, you have to get to the root of it. So by you getting to the root of it, you need to know how your parents became dysfunctional. And they may or may not know how their parents became dysfunctional. But this has been a journey that me and my parents, and then I do have a sibling and a daughter, we're going to take this journey one at a time. Cricket Trees is not just limited to me and my parents, it's open to anyone in my family that may want to tell their side of the story. So just to give you guys an idea, when you want to become an author, most of your subject matter is probably going to come from things that you are passionate about. When you are passionate about something, you're going to be excited about writing about it. Now, the difference between being an author and Sharissa, let me know if I'm getting ahead of myself. When you become a ghostwriter, the reason it's going to be important that you be a good student and a good scholar, because as a ghostwriter, you might not get the opportunity to write about things that you are passionate about. So you have to get the made up mind that you're willing to do the research, the homework, and things of that matter, because you don't want to take lightly handling somebody else's subject matter. So when I started this author journey, like I said, personally for me, it's things of passion. I like helping broken women, broken people. I like being able to look at African American families and other families. The only reason I said that is because that's what I can identify with. We are the ones that most likely won't go to therapy, but some of us will pick up a book. So I just told God, hey, give me a unique way to put therapy in a book, because people will read before they go talk to the doctor. People will read before they go take medication. So that started my author journey. And pretty much most of my books are going to deal with something along those lines. even to a point where I'll just let you guys know little snippets, because we have so many people out here that have an awesome story. You got a story that, man, if God could use you as a vessel to tell your story, so many people that are assigned to you could get free. But can you imagine if I have a story and there's 20 people assigned to me, and there's 20 people assigned to those 20 people, and so on? But what if I never tell my story and get that person free for them to be able to tell their story? So for me, because the church hasn't really been transparent, because the church has taught us to hide and compromise, I had a made up mind that, God, if you're going to call me, I'm going to be honest about my story. Because one thing that Jesus did in ministry, when he got to doubting Thomas, Thomas said, I want to see your scars. Jesus was like, here are my scars. So that means Thomas knew for a fact that this is the Savior. I saw you get pierced. I saw you go through. So the fact that I can touch your scars lets me know that this deliverance, that this resurrection is real. And Jesus will not come back in the flesh to be able to have a conversation with us. He's going to use people to be the hands and feet of Jesus. What better way to be the hands and feet of Jesus if you just put your right in the work and put your story out there and show people your scars so they'll know that Jesus still reigns in the lives of everyday people.
My gosh, she is preaching already, man. So many nuggets just by that one question. What is her book about? Listen, I have been on Ebony and I have been on this journey for some years now, and I'm just honored to be able to know her and to see that her family is actually breaking the curses, like literally off of their family line through this book. And the fact that she's doing the crooked trees um from each family member and their perspective. Oh my gosh, because everybody does view things a little bit differently. And so, man, if you don't have her book or don't know who she is and what she's doing, we're going to make sure that by the end of this webinar, this conversation, that you get to know her book, and be on the lookout, because, man, she's doing some amazing, amazing things. So I wanted to open up with, what your book is about, but I really want to get into our topic of ghostwriting. First of all, I want you to tell the people, what is a ghostwriter and what do they do?
Okay, pretty much what a ghostwriter is, to break it down simple and plain, I use services from Sharisa, and we sit down and interview you. We like to know what you want your title to be, what your subject matter is that you're passionate about. We like to know what kind of resources and information you already have. And as we go through that information, we'll interview you to just, get a feel for what you're writing about. Once I get a feel for what you're writing about, then I would take information that you have given me, and there's several ways that a ghostwriter can help you. I know some people who have already written out their story, but they might feel like they don't have a niche for writing, or they might not be very big on grammar, English, just whatever it is. We take your information and put it together for those of you who have it written out. We put it together to make it flow. Because I'll give you an example. My dad, I did ghostwriting services for my dad because he's the only client that I could tell you guys about. Because when I ghostwrite for people, it's confidential, because everybody doesn't want you to know that they didn't write their own story. When I ghostwrite, it'll have your title, your name. I'm nowhere in the mix. I get no credit for your book. I get no royalties for your book. I just get paid for the services. No matter how big your audience gets or how small, the only thing you do is pay me for the service of getting your material out there. So when I wrote my Ghost wrote my dad's book, he was very repetitious in his writing. So he's a very intelligent man, but he might say the same thing over and over again in a different way. So what I did was went out and I took words because I'm the type of person who likes to use adjectives. I like to build scenery. You guys know you read a book before, and the book just if it doesn't get me in the first chapter, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to finish the book. But if you have adjectives, like instead of saying I was outside sitting by the tree, you could discuss the day it is. It was raining outside. I looked across the street, I saw my neighbor drinking coffee. It's like the more details you give, the more people can imagine the scenery behind what you're talking about. So my dad's book was pretty much black and white, cut and dry. I went in and tried to put the adjectives in, rearrange some things, limit some of the redundancy and repetition of the book. And then I just helped his book flow from there. Now, that's for people who already have their story written out. Believe it or not, my dad brought me a vanilla envelope full of loosely handwritten paper. That was the most that was the most horrible ghostwriting experience I ever had in my life because I had to retype all this stuff and go through all this paper and piece it together. Now, but for those of you who just know you have a story and you haven't written anything, you just want to tell your story, we can interview with you, record from you. Sharissa and I had a client that would just talk to us. We'll just let her talk. Her story was so heavy, sometimes she would cry through it. It was pretty much really like a therapy session, but we would just listen to pointers and we would just record what she was saying. And then I would go behind the scenes, and she's a Christian as well. I would find scriptures to fit what she was going through, and I would put all the details in, but instead of just letting it be one big testimony. So we go through chapter by chapter. We want to know your titles. We want your titles to flow. So we don't want you talking about your bio and then you will start when you're a grown person married with a lot of kids and you done fast track all past your childhood. It's like we just try to make sure it's organized in a manner that it just flows. So, and guess what? This is the confidence that you can have in a ghostwriter. One of our current clients would tell you if they could, we do not go to chapter 2 until we get your approval on chapter 1. So once you read chapter 1 and you say, you got it, but you don't quite have it, because when you first write for somebody, you got to get a flow of how they want the story to go. And everybody is not the same. Just because I've got awards for writing, been recognized in school for writing, doesn't mean that my writing is your flavor. I'm the type of person that doesn't use what do they call it, Sharissa, when you the kids now use the text when they shaking my head and LOL. Oh, that burns my nerves. Okay.
Emojis.
I'm the type
Got
of
emojis
person
and acronyms.
I still believe in, saying it like we learned it in English class, but that might not be your flow, okay? So what I'm going to do in chapter 1, I'm going to keep writing until I get your flow. And once you say, hey, yes, you got my flow, then we'll go to chapter 2. And we never go to the next chapter without you approving it. Now, on chapter 1, I give you so many rewrites. But once I get your flow and you start going to other chapters, you might get a certain number of rewrites. So I might do chapter 2, so many rewrites, but by chapter 3, you'll have 2 chances for me to rewrite it. And if you don't like it and it's your information that you gave me and your resources, if I have to rewrite a third or fourth time, that it'll be an additional fee. It won't be a big astronomical fee because we are in this business to get books out in the earth. We're not in this business to break the bank. To let you guys know, I have a full-time job. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm gonna leave that up to Sharissa and my daughter. Okay. So believe you me, some of these books that I've done for people, I have done for people at just bare minimum. Now, I'm gonna tell you it's however God leads me. Cause one time I did a project and I really came out on the short end of the stick because I put in so many hours that it was probably mere cents what I made to do that project. But I'm gonna tell you, payment plans negotiable. We won't know until we know what all you want to do. I can't tell you a price on tonight because like one client we have, they're gonna do it in a teacher setting. So it's gonna be an actual book and then it's gonna be a workbook. So that wouldn't be your price if you're just having a regular book. So before you count it out and say that it's going to cost too much money, I will tell you when I did Cricket Trees with Sharisa, man, it was so awesome. I made payments along the way. And I'll say for $1,000, I did headshots, um, with book cover. I did everything I needed to do down to my outfit was included in that $1,000 that I wore for my book signing. So really, guys, I really want to make it simple to where you we're gonna eliminate excuses. In school, we had to learn this little thing. It said excuses are monuments of nothingness. They build bridges to nowhere. Those who use these tools of incompetence are masters of nothingness. So all I'm saying is you want to write a book, you don't know how to write really well, you might not even know how to spell really well. Stop letting the enemy get you on that and just get you a ghostwriter, get your book out, and people will be amazed at what God can do. So whatever the excuse is, just eliminate the excuses on tonight. And no, it's not about money. It's about getting more reading material into the earth. And before I turn it back over to Sharissa, I'll let you know this. One thing about cricket trees, when I'm long gone, listen, I want you to hear this for your family. When I'm long gone, one day my great grandchildren, great grandchildren, cousins that I'll never get the chance to meet while I'm gone, they could go to the library and say, guess what? This is my great grandmama's book or my big cousin's book. I had an author in the family. They might not know that I didn't make bestseller yet, but it's coming. I'm speaking into the atmosphere. But leave
Yes.
an inheritance for your children's children. And let that be something they can put their hands on that's tangible. And they can read that story knowing that one day you was alive and well and you was putting that story together for them.
That is so good. So good, so good, so good. You said so many great things and just reminding the people like to make sure that don't let the enemy or doubt or fear or what you feel like you are incompetent of doing stop you from leaving and building a legacy. One of the things that you were talking about as you were sharing about ghostwriting, and I was thinking about like what I do as a book coach. It is sort of similar but also different. And I like the fact that, and I wasn't really knowing that you were going to do that, but you kind of put me in the mix. I really wanted this about you, not me, but I do know we do work as a team. And so what I do is kind of help you like set your business, your book goals. I kind of help you keep on target with things. One of the things that she mentioned is that we'll sit down and we'll interview and get your book outline. And that's what I do with my clients regardless, is that anybody who wants to write any type of story, you always want to write an outline. Just like when we were in high school, our teachers will have us outline chapters in books. And I use that strategy because what I found is that when you're writing, a lot of people like to, like you say, they like to start in the middle or where they are right now and don't have no just sense of, oh, I got to think about where I began, where I've started at. And so as a coach, I help you build out that book plan so that you can stay focused on writing whatever you're writing. But as a ghostwriter, those services are different, because as a ghostwriter, again, like she said, she's listening to you, hearing what you're saying, but she's going to take those words, that 30-minute, 45-minute session, and she can turn it into a whole book, a chapter or so, based off of those few words or those few moments that you shared with her. And the reason why I think ghostwriting is important is because a lot of people, they want to share and write their story, but they don't know how to like word it, or they don't know how to like how to make it lengthy. For example, you could be writing your childhood story and then you're only telling like itty bitty bits and pieces. Well, if you're just straight to the point telling them itty bitty pieces of the story, you're not going to have a lengthy chapter. And it's going to be so vague that the reader is going to leave the reader with questions. And so what a ghostwriter does is go in that person's, they juice that chapter up for you. They can take that 1.5 piece of paper and turn it into 5 or 6 pages based off of giving more context. And it can be, some of it could be true or straight to the point, to the story, but what they do is they add that cushion in there, and that's what I love about what she does. And so a lot of people, are not really privy on ghostwriters and not really know, and it's not something that's really like kind of talked about because they are unknown. There are many, many people who have written books, and you would believe it or not, they had a ghostwriter to do it for them. Like they wrote nothing. They just told somebody, this is what happened, and blah, 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 and gave them all the details. And that ghostwriter literally puts it into story form. So if you're ever thinking about writing a book, and you don't really know like where to start, or if you have the context or enough juice or to make it a good best-selling book or a lengthy, juicy story, then you want to think about getting a ghostwriter. So I love the fact that she's on and she's sharing her heart about the things that she do and how she goes from start to finish. So let me ask this question for anybody who's listening live or listening to the replay. What type of stories have you done or are you currently working on, or what genre of she's laughing at me. What genre of types of writing are you working on or have worked on? If you could be I mean, you don't have to say the actual thing, but you know how to do it.
So far, most of my genres that I work on have been faith-based books, and that's only because that's the company I keep. Um, my biggest challenge was when I was presented with subject matter, because you have to realize that everybody is not going to be writing about faith-based hurt, pain, things like that. You might know carpenters who might want to write a book about building houses for a class that they might be doing it. They want it to be their own material. So they want to do a book and they want to do a workbook. So the most recent project I had, it had nothing to do with faith-based, a little bit because it was still a believer, but for the most part, it was subject matter that had to do with an occupation. This particular person was an entrepreneur. So the book is going to be used in a teaching environment. Um, for me, I treat those like Sharissa says. That's when you have to get serious, like it's a homework assignment. When I start writing, and I'm saying about building homes, it wasn't about building homes, but I can't identify my client in any kind of way. So I don't know how to build a home, right? So what I would have to do is watch YouTube videos about building a home. That's why I tell you, you have to be very careful about what you're charging, because you might just be charging for the material and you'll fool around in a week and watch 5 hours of home building videos, because I don't want to just put anything out there. You may not know I'm the ghostwriter. You may not ever know it's my name, but I still, because of the integrity of Christ that's in me, want to put out a quality product. So I want to know about laying the slab in the foundation and how, a house is to be girded by that sturdy foundation. I want to know about the frame. I want to know if you're going to put lap siding on the house or vinyl siding on the house. I want to know if it's going to have a gable roof, or if it's going to have a different kind of roof. So if you see, I know a little bit about it, so it has to be some kind of subject matter that I've researched for somebody. So regardless of what it is, I don't just take the information you've given me, because if I take the information and I'm not knowledgeable of the subject matter, I could fumble the ball when it comes to writing your passion and your purpose, putting it on paper, you know. So what I do is I would listen to videos, I would read stuff, I would take what you give me. So if you say, hey, I'm building a house, I wanted to have a gable roof, it's gonna have this much square footage, and we're gonna have this much land. First of all, I'm gonna go up and read about the land, testing the soil before you even put the foundation down. What different kind of roofs can you put on a house? You have to know what kind of shingles and all kind of stuff. So the good part about me as being a ghostwriter, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, I'm a person that's very analytical. I love learning. I'll go take a class in anything, okay? My pastor asked me to create an evangelism training manual for our church. Guess what? I went and did 13 weeks of personal evangelism, went down to Florida, did a whole weekend on prophetic evangelism. And then I went and took a Saturday class at a different church to learn about another kind of evangelism. So if you ask me about evangelism, I could tell you bridge to life, evangelism explosion, prophetic evangelism. It's all kind of things that I can tell you, because when you entrust me with your subject matter, now if you come to me and say, I want to write a book about hurt and pain, I might not have to study as hard, baby, because I have lived a life of hurt and pain. And I thank God for Christ Jesus. But when it comes to being a ghostwriter for things where you might be a mechanic, you might want to start a business. I can't tell you, my cousin is going to kill me, but he's a truck driver and he wants to write a book called Blue Collar Dollar. Because he said everybody can't go to college and be a doctor and a lawyer. Some of us got to do the hands-on jobs. And I love, can you imagine that title? You see that? Blue Collar Dollar. And God forgive me, but I felt that I could release that. So I have to learn about truck driving. I have to learn about mechanics. I got to learn about all the blue collar jobs that really make money like white collar jobs. Okay? Because you just have to be able to put information out there. And I know sometimes it might feel like people are not reading anymore, like we're falling by the wayside on reading because we're such a microwave society. But like I tell you guys, when you have a target audience and they want to know or learn what you're talking about, that book is going to sell even to people who don't read. Okay. I've had people who say, I don't even like reading, and I read your book because they can identify with that dysfunctional family stuff. So that is pretty much a little bit more. And Sharissa, I know I went all the way around. I hope I answered your question.
No, you're good. This is good. I think we have to be mindful, even as just a regular author. If I'm writing about a particular subject and I don't know much about that, we are a forever student and we have to go learn because we want to put quality out there. I remember when I wrote my second book, based off of Ruth in the Bible, I was so intrigued with her story that I named my ministry after her. But also too, I had to go and I started listening to what other people had to say about that story. And I listened to some TD Jakes and some other people who were teaching Bible studies and things about the book of Ruth. And I used all of that as my research and my understanding about her in that chapter to make sure that, hey, when I write my book, which I'm going to write a sequel to that, because God gave me a lot of revelation about Naomi. And so I want to put that in a book too. I don't know if I want to make it a separate thing. There's so many things inside of me, but that's one of the ones that's on the way. But yeah, we are forever students and we're forever learning. And as a ghostwriter, and I'm gonna do this twofold, as a ghostwriter, because you may get content, like you said, that you are not privy to, you have to go and learn. But as an entrepreneur, as a business and book coach, I have to always learn things as well. There are new strategies, there's new lingo, there's new things that I am always learning and watching. And so you have to be like in this business, in this world, a forever student. So I'm glad that you hit on that. Listen, this was a great conversation on this evening, and I know there's so much more that we can talk about and we can just chat about when it comes to ghostwriting. But what I want you to do, I want you to think, because I know we have some people who are listening live, and we do have some that may catch the replay later. I want you to, and I always put you on the spot. I put people on the spot. I don't know, just like what I do. But I want you to have like some last words to any person out there who may be listening, who may be wanting to write a book or write a devotional or study guide or something like that. Encourage the people in this season where where we are in this world and recession and all that kind of stuff. We're encouraging. What last words or what words of encouragement can you give the listeners?
Okay, so this is the evangelist author part of me. But for me, when I got ready to write Cricket Trees, I had people in my family that told me a long time ago I was supposed to have been wrote a book. And I never did write the book because I just thought the price was just gonna be astronomical. I thought it was gonna be horrible. I was like, man, you have to pay to get the book marketed, you got to pay to get it out there. And I just thought it was gonna be this astronomical price. And I actually went to a conference one time, and that's where I saw Sharisa. And I was like, hey, can you help? And she was like, it's funny you asked that because that's what I do. That's my business. So when God wants you to do something, guess what? We always say he will, your gift will make room for you. And when God has a purpose and a plan for your life, it's something that cannot be detoured. Okay. It could be delayed, but it won't be denied. And what happens with us is that the crazy thing about it, we read the scriptures that says the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just, right? So how are we going to get that money? I have a friend right now who has an event center and was feeling extremely convicted because she was in the ministry, both she and her husband, and they ran an event center where people was just wanting to drink. The bar was always open and things of that nature. And she said, I'm struggling with this. I said, but when the scripture says the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just, how do you suppose we get that money if we don't have a product to sell? Let me tell you guys something. Whatever God has impressed upon your heart to write about. Now, saints are going to buy that too. So I didn't mean that, exclusively that it's just going to be the wicked. But what I'm telling you is not everyone who purchased my book has been a believer. My mom just had a defibrillator put in a couple of Mondays ago. And when I was telling the nurses, they were asking us about, I spill a little bean, Sharisa. They was asking her why she didn't want pain medicine. And my mom said, I'm 19 years clean off drugs and alcohol. And they was like, what? And they was so surprised. They was like, what? 19 years? They was celebrating. And one of the nurses was telling me that she has addiction running rampant in her family. She has her ex-husband died from alcoholism. She has a couple of nephews that are going through recovery. So when she heard my mom's story, and my mom said, my daughter wrote a book about it, and we told it. About 3 nurses at the hospital has purchased my book. So you just never know where God is pulling you to or wants to be told through you. Because you know when we're in the church is not very transparent. And if you have a few people in church that's transparent, we are the minority. Everybody just wants to act like they just woke up one day and they were super saved and don't have any spots or blemishes. So that's why Christ had to talk about condemnation, because a lot of people just won't come out and say, hey, I struggle with some of the same things you struggled about. It could be that. My daughter, she's a hairstylist, just 25 years old, starting her own business. And she's struggling a little bit with, how you had your initial startup costs. And it could be women on here or men, there's barbers or stylists. You might know how to do a business. You might know how to get in the industry. And it could be books out there written where she can know specifically about that industry. And I'm going to close. This is going to be my last words to you guys to try to motivate you and catapult you. I'm sorry, that was that. Catapult you into your destiny. Don't you get tired. It's like you go to the airport and you're getting ready to go on a long trip. You're going on a destination wedding or somewhere, but it's far. It's not just you going from here to Atlanta. Just say Italy. Okay, so you get on the plane, and when you get on the plane, you take off, and then you reach your altitude where you're high enough to reach your destination. But the tower calls and say it's something wrong with your plane, and you got to land. So now you're at the airport and you're delayed in your destination. And these are not my words now. These are the words that my pastor told me when I was eating dinner with him Sunday. He says, so the plane goes to get fixed, you got your bags, you ready again, your trip has been rescheduled. He said, you get back on another plane, or the same plane that's fixed, and you are taking off, and you reach your altitude, and you get in the sky, and you're going to Italy, you're on your way to your destination, you excited. Now you get the phone call that your mom has to have a pacemaker, emergency landing, and you go tend to that. Every single time I was trying to lunch and I reached my altitude, something brought me back down. But guess what? This time, because we're in God's season, where God is in a luncheon season, He's going to allow you to take off. He's going to allow you to reach your altitude, and that plane is not coming down again until you reach your destination. Somebody needs to hear that, because you need to be able to renounce every curse. Oh, Sharissa. You got to be able to renounce every curse that has been spoken over you and your bloodline. You got to be able to renounce every pain and hurt that makes you feel like you're unworthy of being successful. You got to cast down every vain imagination that's stopping you from succeeding in stuff you really want to do. When the enemy speaks in your ear and tells you, why would you want to write a book? Who's going to read it? Who's going to buy it? My dad never had an idea or a clue he wanted to be an author. But when he said, hey, my daughter wrote a book, let me write a book. Guess what? Now we got 2 authors in the family, and that's an inheritance. And I'm not talking about a monetary inheritance. That's an inheritance to our kids, that they can always go to the library or go somewhere and pick up that material. All I'm saying to you guys is if anybody is going to be successful, why not me? Why not you? We always want to preach kingdom to the world, but we don't want to do anything to make the kingdom look appealing to the world. We always want to be broke, busted, and disgusted. We can't do nothing but say, praise the Lord, and things of that nature. But guess what? I want to live out my purpose. And I'll tell you this, and I've used this all the time because it's true to me. If you have a story that you got to tell and that story is hard, what happens when you go to court and someone has wronged you? A lot of times the judges say they have to pay you restitution, right? When you look in the Bible, it says when the thief, if he's found, he has to pay you that. What? How much? Okay. So if you right, I don't care if all I get is $5 from Amazon per book. Every time that bank account says ching, $5, I'm like, yes, the devil's paying me restitution. So if you right, I don't care how much you make, how little you make. That's the enemy giving you restitution for everything he took you through. And for once in our lives, we need to be able to walk on serpents and scorpions and not just be able to confess it. We want to say Psalms 91 every day. And we want to say that we gonna 1,000 shall fall at that side and 10,000 at our right hand, and we still get slayed. No, it's time for us to walk in our kingdom purpose, not be afraid. Let God move in your life. Even if you're a babe and you be like, he ain't gonna want to use me. No, if you got a story in your heart, he wants to use you. So that's my thing is luncheon season. Write that down because not only did my pastor tell me that, I was listening to another preacher on YouTube and they said the same thing. They said it's luncheon season. Well, guess what? I won't get left behind ever again. I'm gonna lunch everything that God wants me to lunch, and I want you to be able to do that too.
Man, mic drop, mic drop. Listen, that was, I couldn't even say it, but I couldn't say it any better. Like, no other words need to be said. Like, pass the collection plate, like, take the cash out. Amazing. Listen, if you didn't get anything out of this session, even if you are listening live or listening to the replay and you're like, Ghostwriter, man, Ebony has just prophesied. She has just spoke so much wisdom and confirmation into our lives. You should leave this session, this webinar better, knowing that regardless of where I am, what's going on, it's my luncheon season and I'm coming after and doing everything God has called me to do in my God-given authority, unapologetically, busting these goals wide open and crushing and stumping on the enemy's neck. He might as well should have tried yesterday because I'm amped, I'm ready, I'm lunching out, I'm doing something new. I'm taking the losses and the wins and making them all work together some kind of way for my good. Like, this is my season. I don't care what it looks like, what was said, who ain't supporting me, how much money. This is my season, and I am going to continue to decree and declare that each and every day. It has been a blessing and an honor to have Evangelist Ebony on tonight here in the Creators Academy and just sharing her heart about being a ghostwriter, and not only that, a little bit about her author journey, her book, her services, and the tag team, the things that we do to work together to help our clients better succeed. So if you are a writer, or you're thinking about writing your book and you want to get some clarity, if you want a clarity session, or you are thinking about, oh, I may need a ghostwriter, hey, hit one of us up. We are tag team. So if you call her, you still gonna see me. And if you are talking about using a ghostwriter, you call me, you gonna see her. Cause I don't do that. That's not my thing. I stay in my lane, she in hers, okay? And I mean, that's just real talk, but that is my girl. That's my business partner, my, Ace Von Coon. She is a client turned friend, family, whatever you want to call it. This is real life, like for real, like that's how this happened. And so, I'm honored to be able to come on here tonight and allow her to share her heart and give her a place and a space to get out there, because we never know who may need her services, who may need to hear what she's dropped and given on this evening. And so Ebony, we would like to just thank you so much for taking out this time to come on here and share about your services, what you do in your book, and just leaving us better than when we came, reminding us, confirming things in us, and getting us prepared to know that this is still our season, regardless of what we see, what we think, what was told to us, or what is currently happening. So again, God bless you. Listen, if you want to get connected, Ebony, if you will come off and let them know how they can connect with you, or if you, I'm gonna let you do that, and then I'll close us out.
Okay, everybody. Uniquely, don't ask me why until I think of another Facebook name, but I'm on Facebook as Ebony Lanika. That's EBONILANEKA. That's my first and middle name. You can also look me up. My web page is ebonyvassar.weebly.com. You can get me that way. My email address is ebonyvassar@yahoo.com. In one of those ways, you'll be able to get in touch with me. Even if you email me, I'll be sure that I get back to you. And I spelled my first and middle name for Facebook, but Vassar, my last name is V as in Victor, ASSER. So if you want to email me, you can email me your contact information and I can call you back.
All right, well, you heard it from our guest on tonight. You have her information. So if you are thinking about contacting her, hey, make sure you do that. Reach out on those ways that she has given. And if you are interested in having those sessions, reach out to her. If you are looking for a book coach, you can also reach out to me. And many of you all know me, but my website is www.sharisat.org. And you can know more about what I do and how I can possibly assist you in this season with writing your book. Hey, it is the season. And I'm excited about all of the new things that are happening, all of the new launches that are in the works. I'm excited to say that I am currently working on my own. So the last book I wrote was in 2018. And I stopped from 18 up until 2022 to help other people do theirs. And so now God hasn't put it on my heart to go ahead and release, not really release, but work on my next book, which will be number 4. And so I'm excited about that and can't wait till that does drop. And I'm excited about all the great things that he's doing. So thank y'all again so much for joining. If you have any questions, want to reach out to us, y'all know how to contact us. Listen, if you're listening to this replay, thank you so much. Don't forget to follow us, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse. Stay connected. We have some more amazing things coming up. And I will be back on November 17th at 7 p.m. And we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about pricing our products and our services. What I found out as a kingdom influencer and entrepreneur, kingdom people are very afraid to price their services. And we're going to talk about it. November 17th, 7 p.m. Y'all come on. And if you can't get in, You can always get the upsell, which has the replay and the ebook and a Know Your Worth coaching call with me, where I will dive deep, look at your products and services and see what you actually have and make sure that you are pricing it accordingly. Okay. So I'm excited. I cannot wait for the great and wonderful things that are getting ready to take place. Until next time, God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. Again, Ebony, we love you and thank you so much.